Podcasts, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the podcast.
There are 4 lights!
Its 5-year mission to explore strange, familiar worlds, to seek out new listeners and new civilizations, to boldly go where most nerds have gone before. Join Matt and Shirley on their 5-year mission with a different guest each week as they talk about an episode of Star Trek, from the original series through Enterprise. They'll cover every episode, eventually.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to There Are 4 Lights!
4.
I'm Matt, and my echo is Shirley.
Hello.
Hello. Shirley, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm doing fantastic. It's just you and me this week. All alone.
Oh, we're unattended.
Shirley, you're on some other podcasts. You want to tell us about one of those? On the spot. Didn't tell you.
Oh, my gosh. I was like, I'm on another podcast? What am I on? Oh, yeah. Let's see. There's the Nerds Domain podcast.
Yeah. What do you do on that one?
Just talk about the nerdy stuff I'm doing all the time.
Right on. What's the other podcast you're on?
The Mask of Nyarlathotep.
All right.
Does that sound Elder Goddish?
No,
I
that
don't think
sounds
so.
like I'm choking you on. It's awkward.
Awkward.
So tell us about the Masks of Nyarlathotep podcast.
Well, right now we are in the 1930s, correct? No.
Yeah, sure.
Or have we jumped?
Yeah. You're at the tail end of the 30s.
Oh, tail end of the 30s, World War, whichever one that is, with the guy that's really bad.
So you're at the tail end. We're playing a Call of Cthulhu role-playing game.
Yes,
that would
Call
be
of Cthulhu role-playing game in World War One.
Two.
Two.
It's the
God, I see every single time.
We're going to go watch some history documentaries.
I always get the wars not right on the numbers. But it's that Hitler guy, right?
So where can we find these podcasts at?
Because he's worshiping the elder gods. Where can we find them?
Yeah, that's what I asked.
You can find them at nerdsdom.com.
/nerdcasts.
Nerdcasts. See, I didn't know that you did that. Did you tell me you did that?
Like 14 times.
Oh. Excuse me, listeners, for my lapse of Alzheimer's.
You pay attention.
Elderheimers.
You pay as much attention to me as you do to when World War II was.
It's Elderheimers.
All right, so we are talking about an episode called This Side of Paradise. It's an original series episode number 24, according to Wikipedia.
Wicca. No,
and no, let's not do that. And IMDb number 25, according to your book. And
yes.
And excitingly enough,
oh no,
Netflix says number 25 as well.
What? I am so excited about that one.
So why don't you read from your little book thingy, and we'll get started.
These are the voyages. Okay, Layla, the first woman with whom the normally unemotional Mr. Spock falls in love following the discovery of a drug-like plant in This Side of Paradise.
I think that sentence all by itself is a terrible sentence.
It's a horrible sentence.
It is not.
Do they have grammar checkers back then?
I don't know. Keep going with the rest of it.
Anyway, good night. Expecting to find no sign of life on the plant Omicron Ceti 3.
The plant?
The planet. I meant planet. It looks like plant, but it means planet. Life on the planet Omicron Ceti 3, which has been bombarded by deadly space rays. I really want to make a joke right here. Captain Kirk is amazed when his landing party is greeted by botanist Layla and the colony ruler Sandoval. Apparently unaware of the danger that surrounds them, the group rejects Kirk's evacuation order. Before Kirk realizes the entire settlement is affected by a plant which induces a false sense of security and happiness. His own crew is similarly infected, including Spock, whose romance with the stunning Layla leads him to open defiance of the captain. This Side of Paradise offers an examination of duty and responsibility, the dangers of repressed emotions, and a warning for the growing drug culture of the 1960s.
Duty.
They said duty.
I'm
All right.
such a child.
You're like 12 years old, dude.
All right.
Anywho.
So, a couple of things. First, we're going to talk
I feel
about
like this wasn't a correct synopsis of the episode.
Berthold rays. That's the cosmic radiation.
Berthold.
Berthold.
It's TH?
It's BERTHOLD rays.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that's what's bombarding the
Planet.
They say very early on that it destroys all animal cells. All living animal cells.
All organic animal.
Yeah, I guess they did say organic.
Organic animal something or other.
Leaving only fauna.
Yeah.
Flora. Sorry.
Flora.
Which I found there were some plot holes here for me. I want to
Right.
touch on the first one, which was if there are no bees, because they say at one point there
Right.
are no
insects.
How are the flowers getting pollinated?
Right.
That would allow them to grow and pollinate.
Right. And the trees and everything
yeah.
else.
How is that even working? Yeah, bees. Okay. This is an interesting episode. We get to see some emotion from Spock, which I would argue that he didn't first fall in love after the plant spores. He fell in love already, but couldn't feel it, and
right.
the plant spores allowed him to feel it.
Right.
I think that's the case.
He fell in love with her when they were back on Earth 6 years ago.
Yeah. So they come to the planet. The planet's weird. Everybody should be dead. Nobody's dead.
Right.
They should have been dead for like 3 years. Like, it's been a while.
Right.
And we learn that the people are all perfect, very perfect. They're perfect in perfect ways. Lots of perfect.
Yeah. The doctor does his health examination on all of them, and they're in perfect health. And matter of fact, he checks out their
medical history
and finds that things that should be wrong are not wrong.
Yeah.
Like, a missing appendix.
Yes.
How do you regrow an appendix?
Plant spores.
Plant spores, obviously. So
it's weird. I was betting plant people. I felt like this was an invasion of the body snatchers kind of thing.
Right.
And it had some overall tones that were like that.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like a calm Star Trek episode. It felt like everything it should have been.
Well, it's because of the happiness.
No, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it felt like it moved along at a good pace. There wasn't, it was a little slow, but it was the 60s. So
right.
It had some slowness to the pace, but it still was very smooth. Everyone acted just fine, although that southern accent from McCoy was driving me crazy. Jimmy boy.
That was a little out there. I was like, when he first started talking in it, I was like, so is that on purpose? And then the rest of his lines came out like that. I was like, whoa, that is a southern accent that I've never heard from Bones before.
Yeah, it was, it's very...
I expected good day to you, friend.
Yeah, there was a point where, was it Uhura said, I can't do that, Captain.
Oh,
and I was like, and I wonder, because this is before, I think this is before...
Way before.
2001. No, 2001
right.
Came out in 68. This would have been in production around the same time.
Yeah, hold on.
This came out in 67.
Let me find out.
Or late 68. Or early 68.
March 2nd of 1967.
So this would have been almost probably more than a full year before 2001.
Right.
I'm wondering if
he got that line from Star Trek.
Or got some of that
nuances.
What you would calm non-compliance.
Right.
That's what I would call that activity.
I can't do that, Dave.
Yeah. But it was really interesting. The colony is clearly a backlot for, I'm guessing, Andy Griffith. If you look at those houses,
right.
that's Andy Griffith.
Right. I was like, what are you talking? Oh, okay. Yeah.
There's
in
a lot
countryside.
of that. There's a lot of that, especially in the original series. Actually, there's a lot of that in the original series where they use a lot of other backlots. It wasn't
right.
bad. The interior shots looked like Andy Griffith. The outside shots looked like Andy Griffith, but it didn't feel bad. it was different. So.
Well, I think maybe they threw that familiarity in there for people to be drawn to it.
I like how optimistic you are. When in reality, it was they threw that familiarity in there because
it didn't cost that much money.
Yeah, Star Trek, especially the original series, is plagued by budget concerns.
Oh, right.
I mean, we've seen that in some other episodes, exploding rocks and such.
Cotton flying everywhere.
But this one is one that it wasn't bad. I noticed it, but I'm also looking for that kind of stuff.
I think the flowers were really pretty.
The flowers
you could
were
tell
really
that they were
pretty.
fake, but
Well, and their spores, the things that came out when they shot off like cannons were
confetti.
Were jokeable confetti, but it's still like they looked very exotic and almost real, not perfect, but pretty close. I was very impressed by those. Although every time I heard the word botanist, we watched The Martian today as well.
Oh, yes.
Every time I heard the word botanist, I kept thinking Botany Bay. But this was a pretty solid episode.
Yeah,
I mean, there was some stuff that stuck out. The fight between so they get onto the planet. The crew slowly gets the crew that went down there all get exposed to the plant and the spores.
Right, but the reason that it's different from the synopsis that I read is because the colonists had already been affected. They probably had been affected for 3 years.
They had to have been, or they would have been dead. Yeah.
Or they would be dead already. So,
they infect the entirety of the ship. The only person not infected is Kirk.
Right.
He rages himself out of it, which is just ridiculous.
Just weird.
But then he and Spock, he brings Spock back up, and they have a fight. And Spock, we get to see the Vulcanian strength. We get to see Vulcanians again. We get to see the Vulcanian strength as he essentially nearly murders Kirk. And then they work together to incite some sort of rage throughout the crew. Mm-hmm. It was pretty good. The fight between Kirk and Spock, I couldn't tell if it was doubles. I'm sure there were doubles in there somewhere, but it was pretty solid.
I couldn't tell either.
It was pretty solid.
Right.
It was not a Gorn fight. I'll say that. Like, it felt good. This will be interesting to watch because Star Trek Beyond is coming up. And it'll be interesting to watch that and look back at these episodes and
the episodes with the fights in them.
Yeah, look at the differences in cinematography as far as then and now and what's changed and how they construct stories now. And I think it'll be. I'm hearing rumors that the Star Trek Beyond will return to a more Star Trek find things kind of look at it.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean,
I'm not really. I don't want anything to be spoiled for me, so I'm not really reading anything up on it.
So Into Darkness was very much. It's a Star Trek story, but it's not a Star Trek theme. It's just
It was off
Khan.
on its own,
and that's fine, and I have no problem with that because the movies typically are not quite on theme. They're looking at things a little differently, other than Insurrection, which is essentially a long Star Trek episode. It's really not a great one. It
felt so much like that. But let's not go off on a tangent.
But I mean, you're looking at Star Trek from 2009 and Into Darkness. Neither one of them were really on theme. They had their own thing going on. They were very much an action movie instead of a movie that made you think. They're supposed to be bringing you back around to exploring new races and getting to know them and dealing with that, which I really want to see that. So I want to see that comparison between what we're watching now and that.
And it was funny that you mentioned that because the above shot of Spock and Kirk in this episode, it literally could have been laid over Chris Pine. And
the more I see Kirk move around, the more I think Chris Pine is doing a very good job of being Kirk.
Yes.
And still pulling in Shatner in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I see the same thing with McCoy, or with Spock and between Nimoy and Zachary
Quinto.
You
had to say his first name.
I don't see a lot with McCoy, but I don't have a problem with that because I think that the rendition that Judge Dredd is doing. I can't think of the actor's name.
I had his name right there on the tip of my tongue, and then you said Judge Dredd.
He's such a good actor. I think the rendition he's doing is maybe a little more bitter, but it still feels right.
Well, he's got a divorce going on.
And he hates everything. He is so
everything.
The Spock or the McCoy in these episodes, not nearly that negative.
Well, the funny thing is about that, it's like during the I can't remember if it's either not Voyager, because it wouldn't have been Voyager. Like the end of start TNG or Deep Space Nine, they brought McCoy on for
that was the beginning of Next Generation. He's on the first or second episode. He's on the first episode of Next Generation.
He's at the Farpoint mission?
No, he comes and inspects the ship before they go to Farpoint.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
It's an early
Are you
thing.
sure that's not
And it's not McCoy, it's just DeForest Kelley playing an admiral. Because McCoy would have been dead long before then.
So it's not Admiral McCoy?
No, it's Admiral something else.
I don't believe you for some reason. You're gonna have to look that up.
What you were saying.
Anyway, he was just like so angry that he had to take the transporter and his molecules were being scattered all over the universe. And I feel like what's his name that's playing McCoy now has taken that and ran with it.
Yeah,
he's
quite a
like,
bit.
I'm going to take that curmudgeonly old man and I'm going to make it real.
Wow, ironically, DC Fontana, who wrote the episode we watched, also wrote Encounter at 4 Point.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
DC Fontana was supposed to be a great Star Trek writer. I read a little bit about her, right? It's a her.
Yes, yeah.
They have a little snippet of her in the TOS season 1 book.
Anyway, you were saying you read about her. Was that it?
Oh yeah, I read they have a one pager on her.
You're absolutely right. DeForest Kelley played Admiral Leonard
McCoy. I knew it.
I still think he's still
because
he would have been way too old.
I teared up. It was one of the greatest moments.
Anyway, so bringing that all back around,
right?
What we get out of McCoy in this one is that Spock is the first one to get spored.
Spored.
I'm going to call it that. He is the first one to get spored, and the captain and McCoy are like talking about it, and he's like, he says Kirk says some offhanded comment. He's like, I thought you said that you'd like him a little more mellow. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. He totally denied it.
We do get some good interplay between the captain and Spock and the captain and McCoy. We don't get it between McCoy and Spock much.
Right.
We get to see Uhura. She's there.
Yes.
Sabotaging the ship.
Yes. She sabotaged his ship. That's something way different than just playing communications officer.
If you're the captain, can't you fix the communication? Like, is that not something within your realm of ability?
You know, I've had many bosses in my life, and I would not expect them to know how to do a pivot table in Excel.
Well, but the pivot table, that's like saying, well, my boss doesn't really know how to dial his phone.
No. Okay, we're not going to go there. Anyway.
So we do see McCoy, or I'm sorry, we do see Uhura. Sulu goes down to the ship, or down to the planet.
Sulu's in this episode.
He's quite a good. We don't see Scotty, but he gets mentioned. When
Kirk's back or is he on the telecom
When
thingy?
Kirk comes back to the ship and he's trying to find somebody he's like, engineering? Scotty? Are you there? Anybody? And
nothing.
So we don't see Scotty, but he's at least mentioned. Scotty, not everybody's going to be in every episode is what I'm really picking up. We're almost at the end of this season. We've got a few more episodes left, but I don't feel like we're going to get everybody every episode. That's just the way that this season goes. We get Chekhov next season. I'm looking forward to that.
So exciting.
We'll be looking for nuclear vessels soon.
Nuclear
vessels.
Vessels.
Mm-hmm. They're vessels.
Right.
But overall, I think the episode moves pretty well, pretty solidly smooth. Let's talk really quick. Let's get into kind of the things. We talked about the things that stuck out here.
Right.
Their clothing, by the way, was just ugly.
Oh, did you notice that Spock had on their clothes
Yeah,
when
he
they
put
were
on one of
hanging
their-
from the tree?
He put on a jumpsuit. As soon as he got hit with the spores, I think the spores make him change his clothes.
Like, I was like, where did his uniform go?
Yeah, where did they have... Anyway.
Because they never went back to a house. Like,
Right.
they were out on the countryside.
Yeah. So their clothes were ugly, just hideous.
Well, I mean, they're farm clothes. I can understand them.
Okay. What was the... Okay, so the weird races that stuck out. The plant race was weird.
Right.
It actually... we find it out in the episode that it it thrives on the radiation that was coming down that would have killed everyone.
Berthrall.
Yeah. It thrives on that and it grows better because of it. So that's why
And they're
it's here.
space flowers
They're
because
space
they
flowers.
traveled through space and they found this planet to colonize.
Yeah. So we got that strange race. We have Volcanians. I'm going to call that a strange race because
Oh
we
my
don't get those
gosh.
back.
Does that go away after season 1?
I
Can you
don't
please
know.
just tell me it goes away? Because
I don't
I'm like, when are they going to start calling him a Vulcan?
Let me look it up in some information I've got
Because
here.
the Vulcanian Science Academy, let me just tell you about that. They're all about the logics down there.
So, and then we've got, I should just look at our
You're not-
items. I don't even have it pulled up. I'm really good at this today, guys.
Spogic was logicking nothing.
No, we're
this
not. We're not
time.
to reoccurring items yet.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we're gonna look at our guest stars. So Layla Kalomi, that's her name, was played by. Oh wow, I clicked on the wrong thing. By Jill Ireland. Jill Ireland was in other, movies and stuff. And
Is this where I should be vamping?
nope, I've got it. Jill Ireland was in a lot of
Movies
older
such
movies
as-
from the 60s, like Death Wish 2
No way.
with Charles Bronson.
No way.
She was also in Chino with Charles Bronson.
I don't know what that is.
I have no idea. It's from 1973.
I
She was in quite a few movies.
not very old then.
Oh, she was one of the main characters. She was Imogen Smith on The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Oh.
So she, jumped up there eventually. But she did a lot of the rounds on TV shows.
Very cool.
Elias Sandoval was played by Frank Overton, which is a good name. I like Frank Overton as a name.
Overton.
He was in some standard stuff, Bonanza, a little bit of 12 O'Clock High,
Oh, yeah.
some basic
other
movies.
westerns.
Yeah. Route 66 he was on
I never
for
saw
several
that.
episodes. Alfred Hitchcock Hour
Ooh, nice.
in the episode Death and the Joyful Woman.
We have to find that one.
Yeah, no kidding. I like the name of it.
Have you ever watched the Alfred Hitchcock Hour?
No, I can't
Oh
say
my
that.
gosh! Did you like Perry Mason?
I remember watching it as a child with my mother. I don't know if I liked it.
Whoa! Did you? But you like Twilight Zone?
I don't remember.
Are you kidding me? What is wrong with you?
So what I was saying was,
and you call yourself a nerd?
whoa. We get a couple lieutenants, nobody really important.
No, they
and
just fight a lot.
well, not by not important, I mean doesn't have pictures in IMDb.
Whoa!
Although we do have Lieutenant Kilowitz, played by Grant Woods, who he was in. He was in quite a few other movie or TV series and that kind of thing. He was also on Man from U.N.C.L.E. For an episode.
Shotgun.
He comes back.
Bonanza?
No. Lieutenant Kilowitz was in Galloway 07 and Arena. This is his third episode.
Oh man!
This is his last episode, but he made it through 3. That's kind of our guest stars there. Not anybody big name, but good guys, good people to have in there. Anything that stuck out? Anything else that stuck out that we want to touch on before we hit recurring items?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There was no bees. The flowers were pretty. Oh, that's another thing. They were talking about all this plant life that was there. We saw like the vegetables and everything they were growing in the garden. but the spore flowers were the only flowers there. There weren't any other type of flowers.
No,
there
bees.
were trees.
Yeah. I saw that too, and I don't know if it was just the time of year that they filmed or what was going on there. But yeah, no.
Dude, they could have stuck some fake flowers in there somewhere.
No flowers whatsoever.
Yeah, no flowers except for the spore flowers. Which I found odd.
So, reoccurring items. Bones says, "But I'm a doctor. I'm not anything else." He almost says it. He gets
almost
close. He doesn't.
We're still waiting for it.
Doesn't pronounce anybody dead.
In fact, he pronounced them opposite.
Perfect.
They're growing their parts back.
Yeah. Kirk doesn't get the lady. Spock gets the lady. There was a moment
I was
where
so excited.
they
she walked
hit her
in.
face.
Yes.
They Vaseline the camera.
Soft lensed it.
And I went, oh, there's the lady Kirk's gonna get.
Yep.
I literally said it out loud, and then it pans over to
Spock.
and I was like, oh.
What?
Spock has a great line where after Spock and Kirk get into a fight because rage is what kills the spores.
Right.
Spock turns to the captain and says, "Captain, striking a fellow officer is a court-martialable offense." And Kirk just looks at him and goes,
like,
if we're both in the brig, who's going to set up this microsonic whatever thingy? And he's like, that's very logical. Like, I liked that interplay there. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
No deaths. 0 deaths this time.
0.
Not one. And Uhura didn't just answer the phone. She
sabotaged the ship.
No, she didn't sabotage it. She sabotaged it. He said it. He said sabotage. So that was kind of awesome. Overall, Shirley, what did you think of the episode?
I really liked the episode. It felt a little slow to me. I kind of like the more actiony ones, and where they're like, it's not just human. There's like some suspense and some mystery, and I felt like, they were, as soon as they walked by that plant, because everything else was so desolate, I was like, oh, hey, look, there's the culprit.
And then
so
Sulu even says, we're on a farm and looking for weird things. I wouldn't know if it was 2 feet from me, and the flowers are 2 feet from him.
At that point in time, I thought the flowers were going to turn around and like darts or something.
No, nothing.
And, take over Sulu. But, I don't know. I'd give it a 3.
A 3?
I mean, good. It was good scripting.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything, and I really loved what they did with Spock this time.
Yeah,
so I'm glad that he got to get some emotions out. But okay, there was this one noticeable thing that now I'm remembered because I'm talking about Spock is because after he lost his emotions and she came to talk to him in the transporter room, he had a smirk or kind of like a smile on his face, and he touched her cheek, like to wipe away the tears. I don't feel like logical Spock would have done that.
Yeah, I feel like that was because he's not human, and it was such a different transition for him.
That the leftover sporelets?
I think so. I think that was him coming back to who he was
and
still feeling that love, but suppressing it because he wasn't allowed to have it. Overall, I think this is a good episode. It's not great by any means, but it's a solid one. I'd give it a 3.5. I think it's well worth watching if you're looking at Star Trek. It's the last time we saw Spock get some character development. It was in a terrible episode in Galileo 7 where, rocks exploded and people were hugged to death.
And there were cotton swab spears.
Yeah. So this is much
I wasn't
better.
going to bring that up, but you brought it up.
I did. I really did. This is a much better. This is a much better episode than that, and quite worth the time and effort. To see it.
Definitely.
Our next episode is. There he goes. The Devil in the Dark. We're recording that with Matthew Peterson from the Major Spoilers Network.
Matthew.
He's coming back. We'll get to talk to him about the Devil in the Dark.
Nice.
And it's darkness, and it's all devilly and stuff. So that'll be fun. We'll see how that all works out, and definitely go from there. All of our stuff's in the exit. I would say that if you're interested in supporting us, don't forget our Patreon, because we love our Patreon, our patronuses.
Our patroni.
Yeah,
love it.
So
is that like a spare guy?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
If you have any thoughts, don't hesitate to give us an email. We'd love to hear from our fans.
Anytime. Tweet me.
Yes, tweet at Shirley at sneds70. And otherwise, you guys have a great night, and thank you for listening.
And that'll do us tonight for
There are 4 lights.
Remember, you can email us at therearefourlightspodcast@gmail.com or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/nerdsdomain, on Twitter at nerdsdomain, or over at our site, nerdsdom.com. Be sure to sign up for the newsletter while you're there. You can head over to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. A big thanks to 5 Year Mission for their music. You can find them at 5yearmission.net. Don't forget you can support us at patreon.com/nerdsdomain. And check out our shirts at /loot.